Good afternoon, Trump family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. From the Washington Post, this is kind of suspect to the timing of all this. Federal agency charged double tax gun purchase case against Hunter Biden. Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss, a Trump appointee, must decide whether to charge the son of the current president. A federal grand jury is leaking to the Washington Post. I've been telling you that the Washington Post is a deep state outlet. Federal agents investigating President Biden's son Hunter have gathered what they believe is sufficient evidence to charge him with tax crimes and a false statement relating to a gun purchase. According to people familiar with the case, the next step is for the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, a Trump administration holdover, to decide on whether to file such charges. The investigation into Hunter Biden began in 2018, became a central focus for then-President Donald Trump during his unsuccessful 2020 re-election effort. I'm reading from the Washington Post here. Initially, an investigation centered around Hunter Biden's finances, whether his overseas business ties and consulting work overtime. Investigators with multiple agencies focused closely on whether he did not report all of his income, and whether he had lied on a gun purchase paperwork in 2018. He obviously lied. It's a known fact that he was in rehab and he has a drug problem. It's not allegedly, that's his fact. He's admitted to it. According to people familiar with the situation, is built on the condition of anonymity to discuss an ongoing case. That's right. Grand jury, if this is true, grand jury, and isn't that funny that would come out at the same time that musical at the same time? These other news are happening. They're building, folks. What is this all about? Getting Bertino on a charge of seditious conspiracy, even though he wasn't there, is to get President Trump as the ringleader of the seditious conspiracy, when he didn't march on the Capitol or go inside. Do you see everything is going toward him? What is going on with Hunter Biden now being in the news that he could be arrested and indicted? That is to say, that's where Merrick Garland to be able to say, you know what? I'm a fair guy. We went after Hunter Biden. We have to go into after President Trump as well, in fairness, and that to the Bertino case, laying the groundwork for going up to someone who wasn't even at the Capitol on seditious conspiracy charges. Amazing. And the other details here that are worth mentioning. The DOJ, if you recall, as we have reported here, is reportedly working on a plea deal with Hunter Biden related to his money laundering scheme. The punishment is for lying on the ATF form. The punishment for lying on a Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms in Explosive Form 447. 3 is, quote, up to 10 years imprisonment, and up to a $250,000 fine. Form 4473 establishes a transaction record containing the information related to the FBI during the NICS, the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is performing every would-be gun buyer at retail. The very beginning of the form says wanting the information you provide will be used to determine whether you are prohibited by federal state law from receiving a firearm. Certain violations of the Control of the Gun Control Act are punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment and up to $250,000 fine. That's okay. Little Biden went and lied on his form anyway. And got the gun. Why is the story coming out now? Mark Levin has this to say? They're going after Hunter to be able to go after Trump, but I believe this. Look, connect the dots. If you add especially also what's going on with the J6ers, people arrested who already been there, and they finally got someone to roll over and everybody else to be a snitch. Jeremy Rutina wasn't even at the Capitol, and they got him to plead guilty for a seditious conspiracy. Once again, those text messages were, oh man, I just tried to not go home, we on the cusp of saving the Constitution. We made this happen. Woo, that's dangerous. All of it is an attempt to go up to Trump. They cannot have Trump win by a landslide in a couple years from now. They must stop him by any means necessary. And now there's a word for these Democrats, these left boys who just have absolutely no idea how the economy works, how policy works, and it might not be politically correct, but the term is moron. And I'm not just saying this as an empty insult, I really mean it. And I think it's justified because the end result here, folks, is the suffering of the middle class, and the continued expansion of wealth disparity in society. Now, Using that terminology might sound a little bit weird coming from somebody who's conservative. Many people might say, well, those are just market factors at play. There's always winners and losers. No, in every situation, yes, there's winners and losers, but the expansion, this incredible wealth disparity that we continue to see, with the rich getting richer and the middle class and lower classes continuing to get crushed beyond belief, this is a phenomenon that we are seeing more so in Democrat cities, Democrat strongholds because of Democrat policies than anything else. And it's because these left-wing leaders have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I mean, the cynical side of my mind is starting to be convinced that this is all according to plan. You guys need to take a look at what Gavin Newsom just said. And frankly, this tweet or this quote from California Governor Gavin Newsom, if you're paying attention, if you know what's going on, if you actually have a basic fundamental understanding of policy and economics, tells you all that you need to know when it comes to voting for Democrats. Don't do it. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so there's incompetence, and then there's Democrat incompetence? How could you be the governor of the most populous state in America and release a tweet like this? Here are the facts. Gavin Newsom says crude oil prices are down and yet gas prices are up. That's because greedy oil companies are ripping you off. They're raking in record profits at your expense. I'm calling for a new tax on these corrupt oil companies to put money back in your pockets. You know, I actually take it back. There is no way this is incompetence. This is an out-of-touch snake of a politician straight up lying. First of all, we've covered this idea that oil companies are raking in record profits. If you compare economies of scale, that's not exactly true, or the profits up from the previous 4 or 5 years. Absolutely, but I wouldn't call it record profits. Secondly, Gavin Newsom says crude oil prices are down and yet gas prices are up. A simple Google search of crude oil prices shows you just how much of a liar this guy really is. Look at the spike from September 26, 2022 to current day WTI. Crude oil is up $12 in a matter of a week and a half. Oh well. Why are gas prices going up and must be evil corporations? Gavin Newsom says, which clearly is just a political slogan for left boys who are dumb enough to buy it because their worldview comprises of rich people are bad and corporations are bad. Capitalism must be the problem, when in reality, it's a massive diplomacy fail and domestic and foreign policy fail from the Biden administration, and also from people like Governor Gavin Newsom. Well, why is gas getting so expensive in the state of Florida, says Governor Gavin Newsom, who failed to stop the most recent California gas tax hike that took place on July 1. How much is the gas tax going up in California? The programmed annual gas tax hike is set to occur on July 1, 2022. With an increase of 5.6%. California continues to ramp up its war on energy. Very simply, folks, this graphic shows you exactly what you need to see. This is why gas is getting more expensive in the state of California. And of course, as we've previously covered, the fact that California is shutting down refineries, instead of building new refineries and expanding their energy production, means they've made themselves totally reliant on foreign gas exports. And of course, we know exactly what's going on there, with this current administration just getting shafted by OPEC Plus telling Joe Biden to take a hike as they reduce their oil production, which, by the way, we got Joe Biden's response on that today. Everyone listen to this. Biden said, "No, the trip was not effective or oil. That was about the Middle East, and about Israel and Russia and rationalization. But it is a disappointment, and it says that there are problems." The guy literally awkwardly walked away from the camera and the press, stumbling backward slowly. "Oh, she's not the me and not no, that doesn't mean this question," as he shuffles backwards like the damn Homer Simpson meme, slowly shuffle. Going back into the bush, the reality is very simple. Oil prices are going up not because of greedy oil executives and greedy oil companies, because these left-wing Democrats and their terrible energy policies. I mean, just think about how stupid it is. Joe Biden and Governor Gavin Newsom are both slashing domestic energy production that, by the way, is much more ethical in terms of the wages and the benefits that are offered to employees, much more ethical in terms of the actual processes in which the oil is produced and transported. My dyad, these two Democrats are shutting down oil production in the United States, and then complaining when OPEC decides to do the same damn thing, reducing their capacity to produce oil. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Oil prices are going up because of them, because of their disastrous domestic and foreign policies. But of course, let's go back to the topic at hand. Governor Gavin Newsom's ridiculous tweet. I mean, it's so ridiculous that this video is going to be like 10 minutes just talking about the dishonesty and how stupid this tweet is. What is Governor Gavin Newsom has posed response and solution, of course, to increase taxes and calling for a new tax on these corrupt oil companies to put money back in your pocket. Governor Gavin Newsom's solution to a supply shortage in the oil industry is not to produce more oil to make it cheaper for everyday consumers to meet demand. It's to tax oil companies, which is going to do what exactly is going to hurt oil companies' bottom line, which then in turn is going to force them to have to hike their prices up, passing down the cost to the consumer. Then Governor Gavin Newsom plans on taking the money that he taxed oil companies with and giving it to Californians, I guess more stimulus, because of course we know more stimulus leads to lower inflation, right? Geez, there are words that I want to use, which I must refrain from using. It's really difficult. I mean, frankly, it's painful, but I must censor myself and keep this channel PG-13. What is this guy on about? I mean, it's just crazy. It's a Democrat vicious cycle over and over and over again. Destroy industry, tax industry, add stimulus, destroy industry, tax industry, add stimulus. Their solution to the problem is more of the problem. It's mind-blowing, how ridiculous and how incompetent, how crazy this is. And it all boils down to one talking point of oil companies evil, and bad and corrupt, says the evil and corrupt lying politician who's making you poorer, and using the oil companies as a damn scapegoat. Are the oil companies are massive corporations without fault? Absolutely not. What Governor Gavin Newsom is doing here, what he's saying here, in my opinion, is a much higher level of evil, and it doesn't even come close. Pay attention, folks, wake up. These policies are crushing the middle class. They're making you poorer as they give you little crumbs. Then Governor Gavin Newsom handed out like a $400 stimulus or something, might have been $1,000 stimulus. Let's call it $500. Here's $500 as they increase the cost of gas and energy, as a household is paying on average $5,000 more a year on energy and the increased cost of living across the board. $5,000 might even be on the low end. You're being scammed. Don't fall for the communist's grip of all corporations bad, and all rich people bad. These guys are the real bad guys. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. I'll be back soon with another report. God speak to each and every one of you. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for all of your kind words.